right, so Christmas is almost here. And if you're like me, you probably procrastinated and are looking for some gifts. I'm running into Total Wine here, and we're going to find some bourbons that the bourbon enthusiasts in your life will love receiving as a Christmas gift. So we're going to look and find things that are non-allocated, relatively easy to find, and not too expensive, not too pricey. So, we'll look for maybe 10 or 12 bottles, give or take. And the list is also going to be in the description. But I would encourage you to watch the video too, because sometimes these bottles can look like other bottles and you want to make sure you're getting the right one. Let's go shopping.
All right, we're starting with the least expensive and then we're working our way to the most expensive bottle. So we're starting with Evan Williams Bottled in Bond. This is my favorite sub $20 bottle. This punches way above its weight class and it's better than a lot of bottles more than twice its price. Next up, what many people consider to be the king of budget bourbon, Wild Turkey 101, $22.99. It's just hard to beat. This is Old Faithful, fantastic bourbon for the price. Next, we have Old Forester 100. This is one of my favorites under that $25 budget range. It's just fantastic. Old Forester can do just about no wrong, and this is no exception. All right, at $29.99, we have 1792 small batch bourbon. This is one of my favorites, one of my wife's favorites. We always keep a bottle of this on the bar. If you like Buffalo Trace, this could be somewhat of an alternative to that. Also coming in at $30, we have Elijah Craig small batch. This is just quintessential bourbon. Yeah, you can't go wrong with it. Next up, we have a wheated bourbon. So I'm a big fan of Makers and wheated bourbon. So if you're a bourbon enthusiast likes Maker's Mark or Larceny or even Weller Special Reserve, give Green River wheated bourbon a try at $31.99. Next up, Knob Creek 9-year. So you've got a 9-year-old bourbon from Knob Creek for $32.99. 100 proof, delicious, you can't beat it. Next, we've got a rye. So if your bourbon lover is into rye whiskeys, Jack Daniel's released their bonded rye this year to a lot of positive reviews. And so for $32.99, this is a fantastic rye. Next, I think one of the best values on this list is the Four Roses single barrel at $36.99. I know these prices can vary a little bit for everybody, but this is one of my favorite bottles under that $40 mark. Terrific value and great bourbon. Next, we have Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon, $36.99 for a bourbon that's 10 years old. Talk about just a tremendous value and a delicious bourbon. It's hard to beat that. The next one could be a little bit harder for some people to find, but it's Redwood Empire Lost Monarch. This is a Bur Rye, so it's a combination of bourbon and rye, and something that's a little bit different and something that probably not a lot of people have tried. So for $38.99, you can find it sometimes for $35. This is a great Bur Rye that's very unique and very delicious. I had to put some Maker's Mark on here. I think their best standard offering is probably their cask strength. I also really like their Maker's 46 and Maker's 46 cask strength, but for this, we're gonna go with a Maker's cask strength. Very good. For $42.99. Now again, this is a little bit higher proof, so this will be for the bourbon enthusiast that is used to higher proof, but this is a great one for $42.99. All right, lucky number 13, we have the king of bourbon, Wild Turkey Rare Breed. If anybody likes bourbon, they like Wild Turkey Rare Breed. Cannot go wrong with this bottle. Number 14, we have another rye. We have Michter's rye. So I like pretty much everything Michter's does, and they make a tremendous rye. So again, if your bourbon enthusiast is also a rye fan, hard to go wrong with a Michter's rye. All right, we're gonna get into a little bit higher price stuff now, but this is also getting into sort of the double oaked bourbons right now, which I'm a big fan of. This one is hard to go wrong with, Woodford Reserve double oaked. I think the picture on the screen here is gonna say $60. That's for the bigger 1 liter bottle. $49.99 for just the typical 750 milliliter bottle. This stuff is so good. You cannot go wrong with it. And while we're on the double oak bourbons, toasted bourbons, Old Forester 1910 for $56.99, a little bit pricier, but man, this one, I think I like this one a little more than the Woodford Reserve double oak, so you can't go wrong with either one of those. And then the last of the double oaked is a rye. So Sagamore Spirit has a double oaked rye. So if you're kind of new to ryes, you're not sure if you like them, but you know you like the double oak bourbon, you kind of take best of both worlds. You got a great rye, it's double oaked, it's fantastic. For $59.99, it's pricey, but it's a really good bottle. This may arguably be the best bottle on this list. That's Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Barrel Proof. I mean, this thing is fantastic, but this is not for the faint of heart. So these can come in all the way up to 130 plus proof. So they can be hot, and it's not for the inexperienced bourbon lover, but if you have a seasoned bourbon fan, they will appreciate this bottle. Last but not least, we have one more Wild Turkey product, and that's Russell's Reserve Single Barrel. It's $69.99, priciest bottle on the list. Also, just fantastic. I'm a big Wild Turkey fan. These are great. If you can find a store pick of this, it's even better. So you cannot go wrong with Russell's Reserve Single Barrel bourbons. And that'll do it. So I hope you have a very Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. I'll see you guys in the next one.